On the phone, we got Dusty Harrah, sideline reporter for the Oregon Ducks, as well as the fan brand manager here at the Fan Global Sports Network. Dusty, what did you see in this game from the field level that maybe some of us weren't able to see either at home watching the game or in the stadium that stood out to you that made the difference for Indiana getting this? I don't know if it was surprising, but I mean, just really had control of this game seemingly the entire time, 30-20 victory.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there was anything that people couldn't see with their own two eyes because, I mean, it was Indiana winning at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
They won at the line of scrimmage, and I think anybody watching that game could see that, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They were everywhere, and they were dialed, man. They have a ton of team speed. Their linebackers played a dang near flawless football game. It seemed like 46 was just everywhere. I mean, he was all over the football field, and it was some exotic twists and stunts up front that really sent Oregon for a loop. And, you know, I don't think it was necessarily a scheme issue because you can say, hey, roll Dante Moore out, get him to the outside, but the times that they tried, somebody was right there. Somebody was in the face of Dante Moore at every turn. Sometimes it's like defensive coordinators get into a zone, right? And there's some guessing as to where pressure is going to come from and how you're going to beat an offense. And it seemed like every time that there was a guess moment, they guessed right. And Indiana played their butts off, man, but it was relentless pressure on Dante Moore where he couldn't set his feet to throw downfield. They did a really good job of playing tight underneath. Defensively, Indiana, hats off to them. They only allowed one offensive touchdown, and to an Oregon offense that has been humming this season.
So, Dusty, the feel of the game didn't seem to go very well for Oregon from the start. I had a theory, and I know that you're saying that, you know, they were just outmatched by Indiana, but, man, a month off, college football playoff against Ohio State last year, didn't go well. Week off, bye week for Oregon, didn't go well. Now, Indiana, you know, they got crapped on, you know, during the first round of the college football playoff, but I'm more focusing on Oregon here. Like, is there some sort of like time off problem with Oregon, or was it just the fact that Indiana is a better team?
I mean, sure, you could say that. I mean, I think some people are saying that, but I think that Oregon's defense, they played well enough to win a football game. The critical penalties against Oregon really hurt them. You think of the defensive offsides that keeps that drive alive for Indiana, that kind of sealed the game for them. You think of the pass interference in the end zone, which, you know, that was pass interference in the end zone. There were some critical errors that kept drives alive, and they just couldn't get off of the field, which I don't think is a scheme thing. Offensively, they just got when the offensive line can't win, I don't care who your coordinator is. That's a tough mountain to climb. And so I don't think that it is, you know, the time off gave Indiana something to key on because Oregon couldn't handle the pressure. Like, and when I say that, not the pressure of the moment, the pressure literally put on them by Indiana. What they did wasn't really all that tricky in the back end of the defense where, I mean, they just capped the back end, very similar to Ohio State, right? Where you park two safeties deep and you say, we're not going to get beat deep. Where that is effective is when you're winning up front. And that is where Indiana won. That's where Ohio State won in the Rose Bowl, is they won the line of scrimmage with their defensive line and their linebackers. And to me, you go, that's not a scheme thing. That's a hat on a hat, and you have to win. And it wasn't just one particular offensive lineman today. It wasn't one particular style that they were trying to play. It was they, as a unit, got beat. I mean, there was one play where Noah Whittington, who's been really good in pass protection, steps up into the hole and, you know, gets dump trucked by a linebacker. Like, that was a guy, that was physics right there. That was a 230-pound linebacker running full steam ahead and there's nothing Noah Whittington could do at that point, right? It was just a whole gap that he needed to step up into, and Indiana won that battle. There were several of those over the course of the game with several players that I don't know. I don't think it was a scheme issue today, because everything Oregon kind of tried, it got stymied by Indiana, and it was at the line of scrimmage.
Well, and this leads me to my next question: is that just with how the first half went against Penn State, and how this game kind of played out, and you can totally tell me if I'm wrong, but is this offense for Oregon coming off as a little bit more conservative, and then when they were trying to hit those maybe bigger plays, they just weren't available to them, or just they put themselves in long third down positions where they then couldn't fulfill those plays where they are trying to convert them because of their offense being more screen oriented and jet sweeps and running the ball up the middle? I mean, like, again, just from what I'm seeing is it feels like this offense is playing it safe sometimes. And then at the times where it's like, hey, we kind of need to get it going here and look downfield and push the ball downfield a little bit, it just isn't available because of either defense or the offense isn't used to that. I mean, again, call me crazy, but what do you think it is?
Yeah, I mean, there is an element of that, because I think it's in the nature of Will Stein's offense to be predicated on balance, right? That's one thing that Oregon's been lauded for all season long, is the balance between the run and the pass. And what opens up your shots downfield are an effective running game. I mean, but I think that can be said for any offense, with the exception of the air raid offense, that it's predicated on the run game. But Mike Leach famously would say all the time, like, well, we run the ball, but it's just that defenses don't give us the opportunity to run the ball. Like, every play has the option to run the ball in our offense, but they just don't give us that. And I do believe that if you shut down a run game for a majority of offenses in the country, you're going to have great success. And that Oregon's run game got shut down today. I mean, they did, and they threw different backs at them. They threw different styles at them and schemes at them. Look, there comes a point where you just go, Indiana had the dudes today. And I don't think that it's indicative that Oregon, if they were to play again, this game plays out the same way. But, I mean, and take case in point, look at the Ohio State game last year, right? Oregon won that game, and then Ohio State, they had the horses in the second one. Sometimes plays just don't go your way. But to your point of, like, if Oregon isn't running the ball, which is more conservative, do they get adversely effective in the deep ball game? Absolutely. Absolutely. And that was the case today. But you do have to have the ability to run the ball to keep the defense honest. And with the way that Indiana was playing today, they didn't have it. And look, in the way that Oregon was playing too, both things can be true. That, Indiana probably had the best game that they played, and Oregon did not, or they didn't. And that is, of concern, and everybody's going to have an adverse reaction to it, especially in a loss,
Oh, yeah, we've seen some of that adverse reaction, Dusty, and you brought him up a couple of times in that answer. Will Stein, offensive coordinator for Oregon. I hate the freak out. Like, people are already starting to be like, oh, fire his ass, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. Like, this is a learning experience for him, right? He didn't get totally out-coached. I would say that there was a lot more talent than maybe they thought. Or, like you said, it wasn't a scheme issue. It was literally just the fact that their big linebackers got in the backfield. And, I don't know, at a certain point, you just can't out-coach that. Or did Will Stein flub up a bunch today?
But, my question that is that everything that Oregon tried to pivot to, and they did. I mean, if you go back and you watch it, they did try to pivot. I mean, they were trying to replace blitzers, and they had varied success at that. They tried to roll Dante Moore out, and the times that they did, somebody was in his face almost off the jump. And that isn't, the scheme. That is the ends and the linebackers just winning those matchups. And Will Stein is a great coordinator, and I think that a lot of people that are going to, call for that a guy that is regarded as, one of the next hot head coaching candidates, 1 week is now, wanting to be fired. But you know what? That's fandom. That is the reactionary nature of it. It wasn't. I think if you were to ask Will Stein, he'd probably have a handful of plays that he would want to have back and say, yeah, I wish I would have called that a little bit differently. But I don't think that, it's a let's burn down the house now because there's a spider in it. You got to figure out where the spider's coming from, and you got to close that hole up. And I think his track record of what he's been able to do with quarterbacks, and you think of what he has done, it's been pretty damn impressive with Bo Nix, Dylan Gabriel, and Dante Moore in 3 consecutive years. Oregon, and Coach Lanning said it today, I mean, all their goals are still ahead of them, right? But this one stings, and fans aren't used to losing, especially in the regular season. Think of the streak that just ended, 18 straight home games and 23 consecutive regular season games. It's an uneasy feeling. It doesn't feel good. Everybody's kind of searching for answers, and the coaching staff especially is. But I think that both of the coordinators that Oregon has, they're really damn good. And there's a lot of teams that would rather have the guys that are calling plays for Oregon side than their own team. Today, they had a rough go of it, and everybody else. But, it is one game of a long season, and I know that doesn't make anybody feel better, but the reality of it is that a 12-team playoff, it feels a lot better than it did if it was, a 2 or 4-team playoff especially.
Yeah, some of the best learning opportunities are in a loss. We'll just see how this team responds, because you've seen how some teams respond to losses this year, a la Penn State. But then again, on the flip side, Texas just got a big win against Oklahoma today in the Red River rivalry. So, Dusty, we'll let you go. Get home safely. Get yourself a burrito at Victor Rico's to ease your pain, and we will catch you on Monday.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that if when folks go back and rewatch this game, if you have the wherewithal to do it, you go back and you say, all right, what should Will Stein have done differently? What should Tosh Lupoi have done differently? I think that you'll sit there and you'll look at it and you'll go, yeah, man, they tried to pivot several different times, rolling out, quick game on the outside, taking deep shots. And at every turn, it was stopped by Indiana. And that's a good Indiana team that was looking for respect, and they got a whole heck of a lot of respect today.
Yeah, they sure did. Sure did. All right, Dusty. Appreciate you as always. And, we will catch you next week, man.
All right, fellas. Have a good one.
Yep. That was Dusty Harrah, sideline reporter for the Oregon Ducks, and, of course, well-known here at the Fan Sports Network, fan brand manager. I think that he made a lot of good points as far as, the having a run game is usually seen as conservative. And if you're able to make inroads on the run game, then that defense creeps up. You're able to have those shots over the top of the defense. But when you take away the run defense and then you're sitting there like, okay, now we can't run the ball, and they're kind of keeping us in check in our short pass game, and we're going to cut off the top to make sure that they can't do anything over the. I mean, they just schemed better today. They had a better scheme, and the chess match was won by Indiana.